Hey listeners, Impact Africa Network would like to announce it's the second edition of its Power Speaker series with Samir Maski. Samir is the founder of Fuse Machine, an AI startup in New York. He has a PhD in computer science with a concentration in artificial intelligence and statistical modeling. He will be in Nairobi to speak about opportunities in AI, share his experience as a founder, and announce the launch of a hot new career advancement program in Nairobi. The event will be held at M-Survey office on Pine Tree Plaza along Gong Road. This will take place on Friday, the 9th of August 2019 from 6 to 8 p.m. If you have an interest in AI and machine learning, this is the place to be.
Hello everybody, this is the Chine Magic Podcast brought to you by Impact Africa Network. This week, I am so excited about our guest. This guy is, in my view, how would I even describe it, man? A total gem for the Silicon Savannah ecosystem, long-standing tech head, somebody who is probably one of, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best developers that I have come across, right? And so, without further ado, I'll just introduce him. Mr. Ngigi Waithaka, who is the CEO of multiple projects. So I don't even know which one to say, but I'll let you kind of introduce yourself.
I can just speak with two. Alliance Technologies, which is been our consulting firm for the last about 15 years, thereabouts. And Kionjo, which is probably our future as well. Yeah. So those two, I think, will be good enough for now.
Good enough for now. Great. So, Alliance Technologies, I guess, is your consulting firm, as you said, software development consulting shop. And
right.
You've been running that for how many years now?
Actually, I think it's actually 19 years because we started off around the year 2000. Mm-hmm. So 2019 is about 19 years.
Okay.
Yes, so we've done that for about 19 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here's how we typically structure the podcast. This is about people's kind of stories and how their trajectory to get to where they are and their experiences
right.
and their perceptions of our market. What we try and do here is kind of define for people what reality is really like in terms of our audience out there, mostly of young technologists and startup enthusiasts and just our ecosystem. And there's no better way for people to actually get to tap into that experience other than people's stories, right? So I guess first thing here is just tell us about your background, where you went to school, high school, and then how you matriculated into entrepreneurship, right? And then that journey and your experiences. So that's kind of like, it's all yours.
Cool. So we start off with high school?
High school, yeah. Let's talk about high school.
High school is fine. I went to Alliance High School. Mm-hmm. Way back. And I think that's where I'd actually done a bit of computing before, although we're talking about, I actually started doing my computing at home in the, I would say the late 80s. Yeah, my old man had access to a computer.
Commodore, what was the system?
I can't remember what it was, but it was running on DOS. Yeah, that I remember.
Right.
So it was DOS and a bit of BASIC.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you play around with it a bit, but you really can't do much because there's no material, but you play around with it.
Right.
But when I went to high school, I went to Alliance High School, and incidentally, that is about the same time. This is the early 90s now. That I think computers started picking up because we got, I remember, a donation of about 5 computers, and again, they were not even being used, because there's no structures around who would teach these computers and that kind of stuff. So what we did is that having this very keen interest in computers, I approached, our then deputy principal, and I said that I have a very keen interest in computers. I have an idea of how to use these things. And what we came up with was that I think the best thing for us to do was to form a club. So I actually founded the computer club at Alliance High School. Yes.
Go on with your bad self. Really?
Yeah.
So Starehe, we also had a computer club, but it was...
you guys had one earlier.
Yeah,
us guys didn't have any.
Yeah.
So yes, we'd hear stories from Starehe that you guys have a computer or something. So I think kind of unofficially that kind of model came up. We said,
see.
Probably the only thing we can do, let's make it as a club because...
Right, let's model the Starehe thing, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Without knowing exactly how US was working out.
Right.
But I think we had heard that you guys had something to do with computers. Of course, computers are not a curriculum course.
Right.
So it can be an academic course.
Right.
And so we set up one. And then I actually do remember that he also suggested that since he was an aviation guy, he was ex-Air Force, that why don't you also combine computer and aviation? I was like, fine, let's call it Computer and Aviation Club. And so we started it.
So basically, dude, you basically, your story reminds me of Bill Gates' story, because these guys used to do coding at home,
Yes.
or they would jump fences
Yes.
to go into these, I guess, institutions where you could have access to shared services on computers.
Yes.
So you have that story, because a lot of people don't have that story.
It's very similar because they're not computers anywhere.
Right.
And I do remember even the one I think my old man had was actually, I think, a donation from someone from the UK.
Right.
And so it went into started his office. He wasn't using it. I could put it on, it comes on, and I play around with it. And I was really interested in how this thing works out. But again, you see, there's no internet, so there's no way you're going to download books.
Yeah.
So you just have to try to figure out how this DOS thing works out.
That is a skeleton level stuff. Dumbo.
So you now fast forward to a couple of years down the road, high school again. Same thing. So computers have been donated, and those are the days computers even used to have covers.
Yeah, these have covers.
Yeah, it's not something that is on all the time. I do remember, I think, between the time they were donated to the time we actually started using them, it's probably like months, and no one was using them.
Wow. Okay.
Because
Why?
there's no infrastructure. Who's going to teach you? No one knows anything about computers in the school. So
interesting.
So we kind of just have now, once we formed this club, so we also got, incidentally now, all of a sudden, of course, we find that people who have interest in computers within the same school, and the guys joined the club. I think it actually became one of the most popular clubs. So we started, again, teaching ourselves to the point where we tried to get books and stuff. And then we started doing things like, I do remember by the time I think I was finishing my fourth form, I was helping the teacher who's in charge of timetabling to do the timetable with the computers.
Mm-hmm.
So
you wrote an application for that?
Yeah, we started writing a bit of basic. Yeah, I can't remember exactly how we got the materials, but
so was this terminal type kind of?
It
what
was it? It was still DOS. Yes.
Okay.
It was still DOS, or at most Windows 3.1, but I think it was DOS.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was 92.
Yeah.
Because Windows 95 came out 95.
95.
So
that was a big deal.
No, that was a huge deal.
Yeah.
So it was either Windows 3.1 or DOS.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was high school. So I left high school. I'd actually been admitted to then it was Strathmore College to do a certain course that was quite popular back then called IDPM.
Okay, what was that about?
IDPM was, I think it was like a diploma course in what is it? International Diploma Management in, I can't remember what it was, but it was like you finish campus, you're either doing accounting, CPAs, or you're doing IDPM.
Okay.
So, but I don't think I even lasted a week.
What's up with that?
It was too serious. I mean, I do remember I was doing accounts at school.
Okay, you're doing accounting.
Accounts, yes. I took it as an option, and we were one of the last guys to do exams. That was 93, and
so we graduated the same year. Actually, I was a 93 guy also
in high school.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So, so I do remember. I think I finished November 30th. And then I think we had this. I think we even had a scholarship from Strathmore because they used to come to look for us guys based on our mock results.
Okay.
And we were asked to report on the 7th
of what?
January.
Wow, no gap.
So what I didn't know is that it was going to be a full-time course. I thought probably we'd be going there maybe a couple 1 or 2 hours. That's fine.
Yeah.
To turn out that coming on the 7th, and then all of a sudden you've been told, you know what, this is actually a full-time course.
You just finished 844.
You just finished your 844, all these exams, you know how it was full works back then, and all of a sudden now you're supposed to go and do, yet that wasn't clicking for me. So I said, you know what, I can either do evening courses. Unfortunately, also this full because picked up by guys who work.
Yeah, working.
So then what you have to do then, just wait then over the next intake in July.
Okay.
You can come in for evening courses.
Right.
I said, fine, that's no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, July is just 6 months down the road,
right.
So sure.
Okay.
Now, something interesting happened because at about the same time, I got into business. And what we do back then, I think, you'd call it the modern day trigger foods.
Okay.
Yes.
How
Modern day
so?
trigger foods. Because what happened is that my old man still has farms. He does a lot of farming for horticulture, grains and stuff like that. So he would how he started is that first of all he'd have places that he's supplying these horticulture products, grains, skumas, cabbages and whatnot.
To where would he be supplying?
Like institutions,
Okay.
schools,
Schools,
colleges, that
colleges.
kind of stuff.
Okay.
So what will happen is that they can give you a tender, or you probably supposed to supply them over a period of a whole year.
Right.
Now the problem comes in is that you may not be able to have those products all the time. So at some point you have to source them.
Right.
So I started now doing the sourcing.
Okay.
Trying to see what I can expand.
Aggregating produce.
Yeah, so that now we can take over maybe over a whole year.
Right.
Linked up with some uncles of mine, probably almost age mates. And then we also started getting the same products from now the places like Nyeri.
Okay.
That's where we're sourcing them on top of from our farm, and we bring them over to Nairobi and now sell them on a wholesale level based on the orders that we're getting.
Okay.
So we'll go around getting orders. How many do you want? I want 100 of this, I want 100 of that, Then we'll go with the truck. Of course, we also call the guys on the other side. Did we used to call them? Yeah, we used to use what do you call them? These booths.
Phone booths.
Phone booths, yes, because there are no mobile phones, right? So you call a mobile booth in Nyeri, you say, look for a guy, tell him to call back this number, and you have to go there and wait. So tell them, okay, so we're coming for the following orders tomorrow, or the day after. So they go looking for them. So when you come in, these things are fresh. You don't have refrigeration or whatnot. So you just go pick them up, and then come dropping your orders. So you see, it's actually a very similar model.
Yeah,
only that there's no technology to do what? We weren't using technology
To tie it
for that,
together, yeah.
to tie the whole thing together.
And the capital to actually build the infrastructure. You get
Yes.
kind of
So,
bootstrapped scenario here.
Yeah.
Where do you get
And
the
well,
truck?
The old man, not
Your old man's
Not
truck.
actually kind of funded the entire operation.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you had some-
a bit of their own pickup. So
Angel investment from.
that was angel investment, exactly. African style. So so I get started up on this. Did I ever remember even July I was supposed to join Strathmore College?
That was it. So you were that busy.
Man, I mean, I did that for 2 years up until I joined campus. Yeah.
So the Strathmore thingy was.
I mean, that was done. I just showed up in campus. And I think I could even afford to fund myself a bit in campus because I was living by myself. I could afford my own life. I'm doing business, I'm making money.
So did you continue the business after joining campus?
No, that was the problem because we couldn't. Yes, we continued with it, but it doesn't do that well because now, I mean, once you're in campus, the guys know we left behind. It was myself and my uncle of mine, he's an uncle of mine, but he's just like 3 years older than me. So yeah, and with the same campus, one that was a bit ahead of me. So,
which campus is this?
JQAT.
Okay,
Jomo
JQAT.
Kenyatta,
Okay.
University of Agriculture and Technology. So once you join campus, okay, to be honest with you, we're not doing, I think the approach is very different, right? We weren't doing this business. I was doing this business first and foremost to take off the produce that was coming from our farms.
Okay. So you're just trying to
also put
offload surplus.
Yes,
produce.
to also get money for myself for using.
Right. It wasn't a business. It was like a
It was business, yes, but it's not a business that we're thinking and sitting back and saying, let's make this into a multi-million shilling.
No.
No.
Yeah.
It was sorting my bills. I was very happy. It was sorting my old man. So when you joined campus, the drivers continued with it, but at some point it kind of died down because it didn't have someone to
oversight, drive it, manage it.
Yes. The kind of stuff you're doing because we caught up in college. I was doing engineering, electrical electronics. So So,
but in this time, what happened with your computer love affair? What happened?
So my computer love affair, I would just do it once in a while.
Okay.
But I wasn't I think I can easily switch off if I needed to switch off. But it wasn't really prime now. I found something else very interesting because I think it was teaching me quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you learned from that experience?
I think how to set up a business.
Okay.
How to look for customers. How to make contact with customers. unwritten contracts. You know,
Unwritten.
of course, unwritten, right? I mean, I'm delivering for you 100 pieces of cabbage tomorrow, right? So that's my order. That's your order. Shake hands on it. Tomorrow
Boom.
it comes. Boom. If I come and find someone else has dropped just before I showed up, we're going to have a little problem. Because
How do you? Did that ever happen?
oh, of course, many times, man.
Are you
It
serious?
happens, yes. You know, sometimes, and I don't blame these guys because sometimes you might get late. This guy doesn't know. You can't. You know, it's so easy now to think that you can call someone and tell someone I'm on the way.
Right.
So just give me an extra 2 hours.
Right.
So this guy said he'd probably come on a Wednesday, and Wednesday you are not there. He doesn't know where you are.
And the phone booth is not part of the
You don't
equation.
have a phone booth he can call you on. Man,
Different world.
people actually wonder. If you talk about guys our age. How did we used to date?
Actually, how did you used to date?
Because you could actually tell someone we'll meet on Friday next week.
And you meet on Friday.
And you meet. She has no phone number. You have no phone number.
Let me ask you a question. What does this do for integrity, or does it affect how people relate to keeping their word? Do you
I
think?
think so. Because that's how things used to get done, man. I mean, I could meet with you today and we agreed that we're meeting next week on a certain date.
Imagine.
Somewhere in town. Kenya Cinema. And 3 o'clock,
Boom.
we'll be there. We will not correspond over the week. No. And people never used to come and say, oh, somebody else came up.
Such a different world. Like even
Yeah.
when I try to
Think about it.
it is, I don't know, somebody should do some kind of evaluation in terms of how it affects how human beings in that
Yeah.
time and this time, how they're
Yes.
different.
Yes.
When they say something,
Yes.
do they really mean it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do they have to confirm? Like,
Yeah, because you already say that now people are more, that we keep more time now because now we have communication cards. It's probably not. Because business still used to happen. Of course, it's a lot easier to do now, but we still just find out ways to do business.
yeah, make it
Yeah,
happen,
somehow.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Use what's available. I
Yeah.
guess.
You go to school, you tell your parents half time is going to be 3 months, 2 months from now on
Right.
this date.
Right.
And you probably might not talk in between. And trust you me, that day they'll come and they'll pick you up.
They'll be there.
They'll be there. Yeah. Today you probably need to keep on telling someone, please remember next week, it's when I'm finishing. We're closing school. So you sent a reminder by the school. Please come and pick your
Emails
son.
and stuff.
Emails and stuff. Please come and pick up your son.
I think it's just inundated with data and information, right? So
Yes.
the channels are clogged.
It's a completely different time frame. So
Operating
those
environment,
are some of the things that I learned, and then I think also the other thing is that I think at that time I also learned I can do anything.
Interesting.
Anything.
So it showed you
Anything.
your capabilities
Yes.
are unlimited in a sense.
Yes, you can do. You can actually do anything that you put your mind to do, because here I'm a guy who is passed pretty well in high school, going to do my engineering course, and what am I doing? I'm doing my poker business. You've probably come and find me in overalls and dropping them in Isli. We're not talking about uptown places.
Yeah.
Isli's. That's what the market is really.
Yeah. Karaoke.
Kariakos, the Mojas, Dandora, right?
Where the real people live.
So the people. We drop some in Kilelesha, but
Not so much.
not so much. not too many people. So and you learn how to
Adjust to the conditions.
adjust the conditions, how to live with people in an unmanaged environment, because no one is really managing you. You can go and strike deals with people and say, I'll do this, do that, and it happens. And I actually think, if you ask me today, that I think if people can actually get a chance to do that, actually after finishing high school, that break period before you join campus, you probably never have any other chance in your life to do something that you will never do again in your life. Because once you finish campus, you actually expect to be looking for a job.
Right.
So if you finish your high school today, and then in the next 2 years before you join campus, you still doing education, formal education, when will you ever learn the
Real practical skills.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
real practical skills.
Or what your capabilities are.
Yes.
Right? You've got to press yourself against reality to see, okay, how do you respond to situations? What can you learn?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very important. It would be a very important period for someone to do something probably you never look anymore.
Right.
And again, as they say, if maybe we knew now if we knew about trigger fruits, Maybe we would have
Maybe.
created one back then.
Right.
But I really like what they're doing now.
Right.
Because they're actually doing what, in essence, we're trying to do.
Right.
They're doing it.
Right.
But of course, now at a very much professional level, much bigger,
Right.
much bigger scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So now campus, JUQuat, 4 years, finish it. So what was that like? Was it back
Campus
to computers?
was interesting.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it was 5 years.
5 years, okay.
5 years, engineering courses. Now, so instead of campus, again, what do I do when I get into campus? Set up another computer club.
Oh, you said I'm at a computer club. Now back to
So,
the...
campus, again, those computers were like, this is campus, and don't forget JCode was supposed to be the leading, it was actually the leading, I think, technical campus in the country.
The leading technical campus in the
And
country.
I will tell you, even by the time I was in my third year, computers we used to have computer classes, and the only access you have to a computer would be only when you have your computer classes.
Only when you have computer classes.
And for instance, in engineering, a computer class is not a major, so you probably find maybe you're being taught the language C.
Right.
So in a week, you probably have 1 or 2 hours.
To see a terminal, to see a computer.
Wait, 1 or 2 hours, that's the only time that you will learn theory and the practical of a computer.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I started up like that. Then by the time I got to my third year, I was a bit disenchanted with my engineering, how it was going, because I was feeling there's something missing. Because let me tell you what, before I joined engineering, I had to make a choice. Did I want to do computer science or do engineering?
At that time, JUQuat had a computer
No,
science.
JCO didn't have, but yeah, I mean, I could have gone to main campus.
Okay.
Main campus had computer science. It was the only the only university that had computer science. So I reckon that if I learned engineering, computers always do computers regardless.
Right.
So
It doesn't have to be a major or anything.
it doesn't have to be a major, yeah. But of course, when you do go for engineering, JCO becomes a major.
Right.
So it went pretty well. I think when I got to my third year, it's like, no, this stuff is it's not. And then I went for my first, we used to call them mod attachments.
Job attachments?
Yes, we used to have back then, you'd be surprised, JQuat was pretty organized, I'll tell you. It used to actually work almost like a high school. Because come December, November, the entire campus would close up until April.
Wow.
Completely closed. No other classes, nothing. And so between the time of in December and April, you're supposed to be, from I think your second year or third year thereabouts, you're supposed to go for industrial attachment.
Okay.
So you attach yourself to an industry.
Right.
So I did go for my first one. My first one actually went to Coastal Bottlers.
Coastal?
Coastal Bottlers. Coastal Bottlers, it's like Coca-Cola.
Right.
The guys who bottle Coca-Cola in Mombasa. They're called Coastal Bottlers. Nairobi guys are called Nairobi Bottlers.
Okay.
So it's a bottling plant because of big electronics. And so that's where I had my first taste of practical electrical electronics engineering. It did not gel with me because one of the things that I quickly realized is that engineering, especially electrical and electronics in this market, is very limited to mostly maintenance work.
Maintenance, got it. So you're basically like
And in campus, you're not taught maintenance, right? Because at a BSc level, you're largely being taught design.
Okay.
So, as an example, I'll teach you how to design a motor. That giving me your specifications, I can design a motor. I can tell you how many coils I will wind, that kind of stuff, how much horsepower, torque it will have.
Right.
But I will not teach you how, if you found a motor that has broken, how do you fix it?
Right. Mechanic.
It's actually technical level. It's supposed to be, I think, a level
Lower.
right? I would not call it's not really lower, but it's lower, like when you get in technical colleges and stuff like that. Those would be the most applicable institutes for our local market.
Got it.
Right?
So there's a misalignment between what's taught
Yes,
and the practical
and what you find in the market.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I am taught how to design a microprocessor,
but there's no
where in Kenya you'd be designing a microprocessor.
That's so insane, dude. That's wow.
Yeah, it's actually a very big disconnect between what academics is and what practice is.
You know what? We had Louis Majanja here on the podcast last week.
Yeah.
He's at MSEDE, and There was this insight where, because he actually lived in New Mexico for a while, Albuquerque, and that part of the world.
Yes.
Basically, the way the state organizes itself,
Yeah.
largely, is that the educational institutions around in an area are actually downstream to the industry that exists in that. So there's a significant alignment from that standpoint.
Yes.
And so he was in this part of the world where the schools that were around that part of the world, there were microchip manufacturing kind of fabs and all that kind of stuff, and that's what he learned in school.
Right.
But here we are saying it's as if we take a cut and paste model. We see what's happening.
Let me tell you what, the misalignment actually happens in certain courses. It's not across the board.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. A civil engineer, an architect, might not have the same problem.
Right.
Because if you're an architect, you're learning architecture, you're likely to build or design a 20-story building here.
Right.
Because there's an industry that constructs buildings in
Here,
the local market.
locally, right. Buildings are
civil. We're doing our SGRs, we're building roads in this market.
Yeah.
So you actually have need for that skill, or let me call it a market for that skill in this market.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to technology, it's a very big issue because it's like we import every technology that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're learning, for instance, you
can
have
only
your
be
cameras here, you have your camera sensors. So I'll learn how the dials work and how to design them so I can get color, good color. How will I interpret the image from the analog to the digital part image so it can be stored. Good. So you learn that as an electronics engineer, but where do you practice that? There's no Nikon, Canon, Sony in the local market.
Right.
So I actually started realizing this a bit early.
Okay.
And I saw here there's a problem.
There's a problem here.
There's a problem because I would want to learn all the stuff and not
be able to apply it. Eh?
Not apply it. So I went home and for my third year, I talked to my folks and told them I think I have a problem and I think I need to take my software a bit seriously. Because
that's a big, significant insight and a significant gumption, if you will, right?
Yes.
And I think maybe this comes from your experience with the aggregation farming.
It's
supply chain.
I need to do things that are practical that I will then translate directly into this market, not just for the sake of it.
Right.
So luckily, my mom, she offered to buy me a computer.
Nice.
A lot of money then. So my third
very supportive parents. That's again unusual for
yes middle class. My mom, she's a teacher, but she could afford to buy me a computer. So she actually bought me a computer, and I think that's when I made my big decision. This is what I want to do.
Yes.
Because two things happened. So I got my first computer. So I'm having this computer now in campus, my own, so I don't have to be going to the lab.
Nice.
All the time. 2 hours. Now I can have 24 hours access. 2, I started, it's interesting to think that I had never heard of open source software.
Right.
So
this is what year now? 90?
No, I'm in campus, so we're talking about 97 thereabouts, because I went to campus 95.
Okay.
97. So 97, 2 things happened. I think that's when Linux came out. I always used to hear about Unix, of course, even in the books. Unix, mainframe, I always wanted to work with Unix, but I never had a chance to work with Unix anymore. So I remember, so I get my computer, at the same time, I used to buy this magazine. I think this would be called, you spend so much money on them. PC World.
PC World, yes.
Yeah, PC World, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this will have these CDs. The magazine itself, at the top of it, will have a couple of CDs, free software,
Yeah.
So this one time, I have my PC World, and what does it have? It has Red Hat Linux.
All right.
As on the cover.
As a
giveaway. CD, as a giveaway free. Linux, what is Linux? Don't forget, we have no internet. It's still 97, and in campus, we don't have internet. The only, of course, we heard about internet, but I had, again, during my gap year, I stayed with a family friend of ours. He was Canadian.
Okay.
I used to stay with him on and off, maybe a month.
In Canada?
No, here in Kenya. So he had internet in the house.
Okay.
Right? So he showed me a couple of things. So I remember there used to be floppies like, I think maybe 10 to load up Netscape.
10 floppies to hold an OS. That's
So first of all,
amazing.
you dial up to your ISP. That used to be called Formnet Africa. I think it was the first ISP in Kenya. And then you load up your Netscape on 4 floppies because it can't be held in a hard disk. So I had I knew about internet, but man, those are like he's a white guy from Canada, man.
Yeah.
He had all these things figured out. So, but in campus, there's nothing like that.
So check that out. There's symmetry between those two realities, right?
Yes.
I mean, he had access to the thing that will define the next
Yeah.
50 years.
He had a laptop back then. I remember he had a desktop back then. In fact, I think he's the guy who actually made, after I had that interaction with him, that's when I went, in my third year, that's when I went back to my parents and said, you know what, I actually need to have my own computer. Because
You are convinced.
yes, and that's the only way I can do whatever it is I have. I want to learn software properly.
Wow.
So anyway, so we go back to the Red Hat Linux story. So I load up this Red Hat Linux, boom, on my PC. First of all, I wiped everything out.
You wiped everything out.
Everything. There's nothing like.
What was on there? Was it Windows?
There was nothing like geo-booting. I got my PC that had Windows NT.
Oof.
Remember Windows NT?
Yeah, I remember that weird thing.
Windows NT. So I load up my Linux. Then I remember the beautiful thing boots and it comes onto the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know anything to do? What to do next?
Great way to discover.
PC World again. So these have little tutorials in this PC World.
Mm.
And then, so at least I got started off. I managed to get the graphical user interface working.
Okay.
Then this week very different.
Uh-huh.
And let me tell you, and then in short order, what I did is that our common friend, Sammy. He told me you
Bunyasi.
in school with him. Bunyasi.
Yeah.
Sola.
Yeah.
Sammy
Somebody
is
saw
also
that, yeah.
another kid like me.
Yeah.
You should also interview him, by the way. He was at USIU.
Okay.
I think he was doing administration.
Right.
So what would happen is that he had access to internet at USIU,
Okay.
which us guys didn't have in JKUAT.
Right.
So what I used to do is that any free time that I have, especially let's say on Fridays, before you come over, I tell him let's meet up there. Or come with this software, download this software, so that we can play around with it over the weekend.
So cool.
Yeah? So I started my journey on Linux.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that completely changed my outlook. Because a couple of things happened. One, the fact that it was open source.
Mm-hmm.
What I did is that I started not dabbling even with the source code of this Linux itself and whatnot. But then you even had to, because those days you have to compile your kernels and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, and I remember in class, at about your third year of electronics, you're doing something called microprocessors.
Right.
Then we used to do something called a Z80.
Z80.
Z80. That was what used to be taught with.
Right.
A Z80 would be a processor that was done probably in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Late 70s, 80s.
Right.
Very basic processor. I think it used to run at 5 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 100 kilobytes of memory.
Mm.
It was good enough for teaching. So that's all we knew microprocessors were.
Could be.
It could be. Now, you download your Linux, and then you see, of course, this Linux is running on your, mine was, I think, a Pentium.
Uh-huh.
It's the first time the Pentiums had come out.
Yeah.
I remember it was a Pentium Pro, I think 233 megahertz.
Top of the
range.
line.
Top of the line, 233 megahertz. Anyway, so I think what I realized, so when I started looking at the source code, that's when I realized, man, the gap we have between what we're doing here and what other universities are doing there is like
Chasm.
it's huge, big.
So
Because
how
you find Linux, a lot of it is done off. For instance, the guy who did Linux itself, Linus Torvalds.
Yeah.
Torvalds was doing his masters in computer science at a university, I think Helsinki or something of the sort. Right?
Right.
But even in the Linux itself, you'll find a lot of students. I mean, the contributions,
Contributors.
the guys who are pushing the code are
Right.
me, you, in the US.
Right.
But there's no way what we've reached, can be able to do what these guys are doing. Yeah? You look at the headers, University of Berkeley, contributors, MIT there. You know, as I was saying, I think even in the US, you find the contributors to most of the solid software. I think you probably find them in about at most maybe 20 universities.
Right.
There's a concentration of universities that are contributing maybe 80% of technology in most of these products. Man, that was a game changer. That's when I realized, man, we are behind. And I have to do something about this.
So, dude, okay, so
Yes.
I can't wait. So what happened? So what did you do?
So what happened is now I said, I'm going to have to spend time on software. I have a lot to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now seriously started working on my software. Seriously, as in now I'm learning, teaching myself, download this and that. And then at about the same time, if you remember, 97, something also very significant happened. Java 1.0 came out.
Ah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Came out same period of time.
Uh-huh.
So I
From
don't
Sun.
remember.
Was it Sun?
It was, yeah, Sun Microsystems then.
Yeah.
So again, me and my friend Sammy goes and downloads Java in USAU. We load it up on my computer over the weekend. We can't even run the thing, man. We don't know how to run it. So he's like, let's wait for Monday so that I go back, so that I can come with some tutorials now and you see how to figure this thing out.
Where would you get the tutorials?
Of course, the internet.
Okay.
I mean, we download these things.
Oh, I see. All right.
But
okay.
the internet was, man, a few places.
Super slow, yeah.
No cyber cafes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
African one is just starting.
Right.
So, so that's why I started doing my development. I did a lot of my development in Java.
Mm-hmm.
A lot from, I think.
What were you developing at this time? What were you
What I
doing?
would do, I just pick up on something. I'll give you an example. I just pick up on, for instance, in Java, just pick up on something academic, like let me find out, can I do my own database,
Cool.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even something commercial,
Right.
something at that level.
You're just challenging yourself.
Yeah, can I do my own database? Not, I have a database, I store my stuff on. Can I store my own records? And like, I'm creating my own from zero.
Right.
Like,
Bottom down.
there's Postgres, MySQL. Can I have my own little thing where I can actually create? I understand how these things, you can actually create them from the basic.
Right. You wanted to go. You didn't want to.
I've always wanted to go deep.
Yes, I love it.
And then the other thing that I also was introduced to about the same time would be, one was, I think, best written environments that I've ever come across.
Best what?
Written environments,
Okay.
development environments,
Mm-hmm.
Delphi,
Okay.
from Boland.
Mhm.
Boland then was the king of software.
Boland,
Boland.
was it more consumer or
No.
the sold to enterprise?
Boland back then on the Windows world,
Mm-hmm.
the key guys in terms of development would have been Microsoft. Microsoft used to have something called Visual C++ and Visual Basic.
Yeah, I remember.
Visual Basic is what was very popular in this market.
Right.
Boland had something called Turbo Pascal.
Oh, I remember that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
Then when it became graphical, they called it Delphi.
Okay. What happened to that thing?
It's a very interesting story because what happened is that Microsoft pushed everyone from Boland, the top guys from Boland.
They basically gathered the
Anders
company.
Husberg. He went to be the CTO of Microsoft.
Ah.
In fact, even now, he's the one who led that. He's the one who made .NET. In fact, he modeled .NET off what he had done at Boland.
So was it an acquisition or a gutting?
No, it's not an acquisition. He poached. It was actually a very big battle where they were actually, I think Microsoft got sued by Boland for quite a bit. Intellectual property, that kind of stuff.
Gates was an aggressive.
Gates was harsh, man. He's not a nice guy.
Let me tell you the truth, man. Like I think this other guy, what's his name? Zuckerberg is built in the same mold, right? These geeks who are kind of
Vicious.
Empathy is not their thing, dude.
No.
They're trying to. Anyway.
So Boland was beautiful, man. I mean, Delphi was beautiful, and Boland used to make. It was a little farm, and let me tell you what. And
Where were they out of? Do you remember?
Sorry,
Where were they based?
I think it's Palo Alto, US.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But the guy who made Turbo Pascal, again, this guy is called Anders Husberg.
Mm.
He's originally from I think Denmark.
Okay.
He used to do it. He actually, it's a very interesting story. Maybe you just probably can check up on him because. And those are some of the stories actually, some of the guys who actually inspired me.
Those are the people who you were like, these guys are
my
the kings.
people who used to inspire me was not even so much so the business people.
It was the
software,
nerds.
it's the nerds.
The real
geeks,
people.
The geeks, man. The nerds. The guys who are doing the things I love to do.
Right.
Because like this guy, Boland had started up in the US. So they had their own little products. Pascal, even before it became Turbo. And there's this guy from Denmark who makes one of the best, fastest compilers ever. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
One guy. And then he sends his software to Boland. All of a sudden, the little thing that he has sent is faster than the entirety of what this company has been doing. So they make him work offline for a while, and then they grab him to come over to
Palo Alto?
to Boland, yes, US, to now continue with this Turbo Pascal. And Turbo Pascal came and started beating Microsoft at its own game. Because you'd think Windows, the best environment for you to develop in Windows would be Microsoft own tools.
Right.
But Bullard actually said, you know what, you can have your Windows, but we actually have better tools to develop on Windows than you do. And these guys actually give Microsoft a run for their money.
But what was the business model?
They would sell software. So you buy Turbo Pascal at a certain
great price.
Then Delphi, this was something that's called C++, Builder.
But this must have been a niche market, because you have to be someone like you who's into
but you see, the market, it's actually still a big market, because the market was actually developer market.
Developer market is massive.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah.
So later on is what happened is that, so this guys actually, I mean, there was no comparison between Visual Basic and Delphi, because Delphi was, if you ask me, way ahead.
Way ahead, yeah.
And, but what Gates did is, of course, he wanted to push all these guys to Microsoft. Microsoft had the money. So this guys actually made something called Visual J+, which was banned, or rather it was sued by Sun big time, because it was like Java only, but only for Windows. Quite a big scandal. The time Microsoft was about to be broken up. Anyway, but I like that under switches, but once Microsoft was banned from doing Visual J#, that's when he went to design.net.
Okay.
So he's the one who's been designing .NET to date.
To today, wow.
Yes, and he's done a brilliant job.
So, I mean, when you look at that era, right, like, what are the lessons you can take from that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's almost like a winner-take-all market in some of these things.
In terms of...
Right? Microsoft wins, Boland
the Microsoft... Okay, let me tell you what. I think Microsoft was overly vicious. They were pretty vicious. And in a way, in the long term, it also kind of was negative for them. Because one, I think it alienated a lot of people.
Totally.
There are people who still don't feel Microsoft even up until today, although they have really reformed. I mean, they're
different company now, right?
It's a different company, right? Yeah, and but the people still don't. You still have to.
The bitterness is still there.
Maybe bitterness or a bit of you don't. You may not want maybe to. I see it like maybe to expose too much, or your favorite little company has been bought by Microsoft. Like for instance, the other day, Microsoft I think invested in one of the leading Postgres database. One of the very nice extensions for doing something called sharding data, like basically scaling out your data, was bought by Microsoft. And there was a lot of negative pushback from the community because Microsoft doesn't have a good name around it.
Yeah. What about the GitHub acquisition? Did that also cause the GitHub acquisition?
You see, again, GitHub acquisition again. So when you hear Microsoft and open source, especially after Gates calling open source the cancer of software, it still has bitter taste to it.
Yeah, because developers were so open source oriented.
Yes, you want to share things, you know.
Right.
And Microsoft actually, that's why I think they created Google, right? Because Google said, "Don't be evil."
You know what? And that's Google positioned themselves perfectly against Microsoft.
Yes, don't be evil.
Yeah,
that was the mantra when they set it up.
Yeah.
So when they said "don't be evil," that meant there must have been someone in the ecosystem who was evil.
Right.
Who was that?
Although now that I don't know how
it has changed though.
It doesn't apply anymore to them. So
once it starts making money, don't be evil becomes.
It becomes like don't be evil all the time.
Not all the time. It's just sometimes.
So let's move to now. Okay, now you immersed yourself in this world. You're seeing things that most people around you are not seeing.
Yes.
You kind of live in a parallel universe than your people around you.
Totally.
And so now you graduate from campus.
Yes.
What are your options?
In fact, let me just say, I technically I didn't even graduate.
Okay, I like this even better.
Yeah. Technically, because what I did is that I just decided to just exist in campus.
To exist. I live here.
Yeah, just exist. I mean, well, I didn't have the guts to say I'm gonna pull off completely. Because I knew now what I wanted to do, which is software.
Right.
But I said I'm just gonna sit for all my classes. I'll not have to pass a lot. Yeah, but
just enough to get by.
Just enough to get by, right? So let me say I did that. I would have my king courses. For instance, when let's say we have a course like digital, maybe digital electronics, I find that's interesting. So that would be really keen. But anything else that I feel is not really important, exist. So, and about the same time, when I started getting a little bit of contracts in there to develop software for people.
How did this come up?
Just like, for instance, I think the first one was when I was working at the Coastal Bottlers. My uncle was running shipping. I was still with him. He's running a shipping, what do I call it? The car container clearing.
Logistics company.
And yes, they would clear containers from the ships to where the containers are kept.
Yeah.
Right? So this would be contracted to do that. So he wanted, so of course it should be just manual.
Right.
So I told him, hey, look here, man, no, but he had a computer. So I told him, hey, look here, I can actually design for you software that can do
This work.
can do this work. So like, you can? I'll even pay you.
This is such a pain for me. Fix it.
Cheers, man. 3 months or so, did it. Earned some good money for someone who's in campus. And
So you built I guess, what was it? Was it like almost like a
it was just very specific to his business,
right?
What exactly they needed to do.
Workflow.
Yes, who's available today? What are these get done? What work do we need to do? Yeah.
Workforce management. It seems like
yes,
okay.
Not a very big firm, a couple of guys, but the good thing is you could see also. I mean, the future is that we need to stop this people business.
Right.
Then, so I think I did a couple of those, and then interesting. Then at about the same time, so now I'm done with campus. At about the same time, or just before I got done with campus, there was a certain gentleman.
A what?
A certain gentleman.
Okay.
He was based in Germany.
Okay.
And I think you probably think of him as maybe having the first startup idea around this place. Because what he wanted to do was, he thought, why would he not have, maybe I come back to Kenya, he's Kenyan, I come to Kenya, I teach a couple of engineers how to develop professional software, because he's a software guy, but completely based off in Germany.
Kenyan guy or German guy?
He's a Kenyan guy.
Okay.
But who had gone, I think, for his undergrad, whatnot, in Germany. So he was quite exposed to software. So he came and set up a farm. It was actually based at the EPZ zone, here at Waithaka, just next to the Deraru factory. The farm used to be called, I think, Econet something. So what he wanted was that he starts developing guys, teaching people how to do professional software, and then he'll get contracts in Germany, and then he'll have his small team here in Kenya getting to implement this.
So basically Andela kind of thing.
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah. And that was the year 2000.
Probably a lot of people did those small type of shops.
But there weren't many.
Yeah.
Trust me, though.
I mean, he was probably the first.
Yes. He was probably I had not heard of any other guy who could do that. And somehow I got to hear about it. So what happened, immediately after campus, I said, I'm not going to do anything else. I need to learn more. Because I was trying to learn as much as I could from whatever. Remember, I've never gone to any social class.
Right.
So I jumped in there. So I went there for 3 months. I actually realized, my Java is actually pretty good. Because I could actually do whatever. There were some guys who were like, who had come in there for probably maybe about a year before me, learning stuff. So about 3 months or so, I mean, by the time I actually went there, I could do what these guys were doing.
Right.
Then after 3 months, some consulting opportunity came up. Again, so me and my friend Sami had been employed by some guys to do a news portal for Africa.
Okay, like Yahoo or something?
Yes, like Yahoo, right? Or Google News or something. Probably even what Kionjo is doing now, but for back then.
Yeah, nobody knows what Yahoo is anymore. Right?
Yeah. It used to be called Mail Africa.
Okay.
It was an offshoot of the ISP Kenya.
Okay.
So, but they needed someone to do, I think, their technology stuff. Someone probably deep. So they actually needed a CTO.
Okay.
Yeah, so told me, but I'm not actually looking to be employed. No, he said, no, but you can come and actually be on contract with us guys.
Right.
So it's like,
how did you win the contract?
no, you go and show up and they give you like a contract. You're like actually like a consultant. You're like a consultant CTO.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. So I went in there for about 3 months. 3 months. And it was a very interesting relationship. But I think our relationship and these guys didn't gel because they never actually, they wanted something too quick.
Okay.
I think they wanted to kind of offload it into the market.
Right.
Me, I came there thinking we're building something probably for about a year.
Right.
Something that is going to be brilliant. Because it actually turned out to be something brilliant. Because we could do news stories. Okay, then they had journalists all over Africa pushing news stories to this portal. So you'd find an aggregated news something for the entire Africa.
Right.
So after 3 months, I realized, man, the way this thing is going, that was actually, if you remember, 2000 was the height of the .com boom.
Totally, yeah.
Everyone was trying to build something the quickest way you can, just to
Get it out there.
get it out there and get money off it.
Right.
But I didn't have that kind of approach.
Mm.
So after 3 months, I realized this is not going to work out.
We're not
So I sat
aligned.
down,
Yeah.
we're not aligned. I said, no, I'm out of here. And I remember what happened is that over my 3 months, I think maybe 4 months, over my 3-4 months when I was working, consulting for Mail Africa, I never actually cashed any of my checks.
Okay.
Okay?
That's great.
And the reason was interesting because what had happened is that I had actually lost my documents when I was in campus. My ID. I had never had my ID for years. And, well, you could say I never needed to use it. So I couldn't open a bank account.
Slight problem.
Slight problem. So we figured out now a way where I think I would send on a check and transfer it to somebody else.
Right.
So, but what happened is that those 4 months, I realized, you know what, I actually have capital now to start up something now
For yourself.
for myself,
Right.
right? So when I cashed my 4 months checks, when I got a little office in Westlands,
Mm-hmm.
had my 2 computers, and I sat back and asked myself, what next?
What next? Brilliant.
What next, man? What to do? Anyway, so it's interesting how things move on, man. I say life, you can never predict things because what happened next is actually unimaginable. So we can get onto that?
Yes.
Yeah?
This is the meat. Come on.
Okay. So what happens is, so this office of mine in Westlands, my 2 computers. So I think what I like doing is that every time even if I don't have work, I default back to learning.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're a student of the game, basically.
Yes, I want to learn more and more and more about software.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you say I'm a geek like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem actually even just doing software for academic purposes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I would say like I don't know how this works. I don't know, for instance,
But I
how
want to figure it out.
AI works. But I can, if I have 3 months free, I love it. I would say, let me spend my 3 months to learn how this works out. So back then, I decided, this time when the internet was coming up, so I decided I need to learn how to do more Java properly for the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We had new technologies like WAP, which people were saying would be the next big thing. WAP is what would allow a normal phone back in the days to browse. Because phones wouldn't browse.
Right.
But with WAP, you could.
Was it like a browser? What was it?
It was like it's like a standard, like HTML.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So WAP would you make software for WAP. So phones which were WAP enabled would be able to get WAP pages. So WAP pages were like it's like a stripped down HTML.
I remember that stuff.
Yeah.
Where there's like I remember like a globe.
Yeah, so we have like these Nokia phones. I remember had like a communicator. You know these communicators, big things you flip like this.
Yeah.
Looking very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I decided, you know what, let me learn. Remember, I was at this German firm, but I had left to do this consulting gig.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I remembered what we were doing at the German firm.
Okay.
There are some things that are not finished,
Right.
but at least now I knew about them.
Right.
So I could research about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me do this. Let me just spend my time in my office just researching these things. I mean, I have my 4 months checks and I'm being paid pretty well. So I really don't have to worry about my next month.
So who was paying at the time?
Pay me to do what?
You said, oh, you had been being paid pretty well. So you had some running.
Yeah, I mean, I had some, at least my 4 months.
Oh, got it. Okay.
4 months
Right. I
paycheck.
misunderstood that.
And it
Okay.
was good money,
Right.
relative.
Mm.
You know, I like telling young guys, man, it's good to do these things when you're young,
Mm-hmm.
when expenses are really low.
Mm.
Because I know if you're a young guy, what do you need more?
What do you need?
You just need a house and a computer.
That's it.
Yeah. So actually running costs is housing and food.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when you're much older, things are much different.
Right.
Your family and whatnot. But
Right.
when you're just a young guy, you can take risks that
Other people, you can't take later on.
Later on in life will be
Yeah.
a bit hard, will be much harder for you to do. So, so I'm sitting here doing my learning on these things, right? So I don't have internet in my office because internet is very expensive. But now at least cyber cafes have started coming up. The year 2000,
Cyber cafes.
Yeah, cyber
around.
cafes are a couple. So in Westlands was a cyber cafe. I forget its name. But what will happen is that so on a regular basis, like maybe once or twice a day, I would go to this cyber to now check my emails, right? Download whatever stuff I need to download, maybe some little software I need to download, and come back to my office. So we kind of develop a rapport with
Practitioner, the owner.
The owner of the cyber. Now, what this owner tells me at some point is, so he knows that I do software because I'm a regular guy. Yeah, he's tuned on to software. He's a nation guy. Then I remember him asking me one time whether I can actually develop for him some software to manage the cyber cafe. I was like, you like software to manage a cyber cafe? Okay. And how would you pay me? He's like, we actually, I think, struck a deal. If I give him some software to just basically manage the cyber cafe, I don't have to pay for internet anymore.
Brilliant. Barter trade.
It's like, and internet was like one of my biggest expenses, really, because it was expensive.
I bet.
Yeah, it was. I think probably per minute you're paying maybe 30, 40, 50 bob. You'd imagine?
That's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So, interestingly, I decided, as I'm learning this thing, let me just develop this little cyber cafe thing. In about 3 weeks, I had a working prototype.
Nice.
That I could manage his cyber cafe. And as far as I was concerned, he was going to leave it at that. Right? Me, I'm still learning my Java things here.
Right.
As I figure out what it is that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So, that was where interesting stuff happens. I am walking in town, and I meet a pal of mine. Boom. Hey, hi, how are you? So this guy with him in campus, he knew I'm into software. Back in the days, once you leave a place, because there are no mobile phones, whatnot, you can actually lose touch with your friends.
Totally, yeah.
Because if you're not seeing something, you can't call up somebody easily. You probably don't know there. People just meet on the streets or parks,
It's so true.
Yeah? You bump it, hey, what's up? And you catch up like that, and you're cool. Yeah. You disappear for a month, you bump into each other again. So this guy tells me he's working at African Online. So I'm like, hey, what do you mean you're working at African Online? He told me, we actually started up something new. It's called eTouch. I'm like, eTouch, yeah. And what are you guys doing is cyber cafes and everything. I'm like, interesting. But I don't think I actually I mentioned to him that, but then incidentally I've done something for cyber cafe. But he tells me, even us guys, we have just got some software for cyber cafe I think they got it from Israel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're trying to now localize it for the local market and blow it up now too. Because eTouch had many cyber cafes.
Right.
eTouch was actually an offshoot of African Online.
Okay.
So, and that was a pretty good part of mine. So we leave it at that. So I go back to my office. I think a month or so later, the chap looks for me. Hey, what's up? I think you need to come forward. You need to come and see me. So I'm like, okay. So I go and see the guy. So I go to African Online office. It's like, hey, you guys, we're having a bit of a problem, you told me you have some cyber cafe software? I told him, yeah. Does it work? I mean, okay. It works for the cyber cafe where I implemented it. I wasn't building it to work, but it's working.
Right.
So he went and had a look at it, and now they're having a big challenge because this software that they got was being built in Israel. They're trying to implement it for the local market. Right? Even just that distance issue is huge.
Support.
Yeah, support, exactly. Support, how quickly you can turn it around. Investors are screaming because they want this software to be rolled out.
Disaster.
So now this thing was, and then the problem was that, for instance, you load it up on your machine and to lock up on your machine.
God.
So you can imagine those
business
is stuck. So they're like, now, let's do this. This is a thing of yours. So he went and took me to his boss, a guy called Peter Mondi. Brilliant guy. Mondi tells me, yeah, you're having a problem. But of course, since your software was not ever meant to be serious, let's do this. Let me first of all give you, we have a cyber cafe in Westlands. Because what they used to do, Nando's had also just checked into the market. So at the Nando's, they used to have like a reservation, like 3 machines.
In the cyber cafe?
Yeah.
In the Nando's?
In the Nando's, yeah. So one little corner at the Nando's, that's where you find their 3, 4, 5 machines. They used to have their own cyber cafes.
Right.
But they also had a partnership with Nando's. So if there's a Nando's, you'd find
3 or 4 machines.
3 or 4 machines. Remember, people don't have internet on their phones.
Yes.
So your Nando's, you're chilling out with your pals, you can go and check your emails,
Yeah.
So the guy told me, we'll do this. There's a little place in Westland which just opened, the Nando's. It has 3 machines. Why don't you go and put your software into 3 machines? We'll see whether it will work out. Okay? And all to do is this. If it works out, before we develop our main software here, we can list it out from you. Yeah?
Right.
We'll be paying you it never looked like a lot of money. I think it was probably 1,000 or 2,000 bob per machine every month.
Okay.
So for 3 machines, I think it's 6,000 bob. Not too much money, but it's okay.
Right.
So I decided, you know what do I have to lose? So grabbed my cyber cafe software, put it in Nando's. Things starts working.
This is brilliant.
Okay. So it works. Now, these guys get more pressure because the main software is still not working.
But you got software over here at Nando's.
It's working. So they actually come over and see, actually it's working.
Uh-huh.
So they're like, okay, but they had spent quite a bit of money, probably maybe $1 million on that one, thereabouts.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
Some cost, my goodness.
a lot. So a decision was made that as we're still waiting for this big software,
Let's roll this guy.
why don't we roll out what we have now, because it's not expensive, into our other. First of all, they gave us town. I think it was something like 20 machines. Remember, it's on a list model. Every machine, I think 2,000 bob. All of a sudden, I moved from 6,000 bob a month. It's a per monthly basis. I moved from 6,000 bob a month. Now they're giving me 20 machines. So now I'm maybe 50,000 bob. Right?
What? Your life has just
So this can actually become a business, man. Right?
blew your mind.
Before long,
Yeah.
I would say all the eater centers are running on our software.
One man shop.
They were running on our software. So now I have to create some infrastructure around my little software for cyber cafes. We used to call it Safari, by the way.
Yeah.
And that was before Steve Jobs came up with the Safari name. We used to call it Safari, but we used to spell it Surfari. Surf, almost like surf.
Yeah.
Excuse me, like surfing. Safari. So we run on Safari in all the eater centers in Nairobi. Barclays also had something they were doing with African Online. I remember, I forget what they used to have their own internet centers because you could go to a Barclays bank, I remember like Haile Selassie. They had a branch, one of the branches that made like half of it to be like, they were trying to introduce online banking. So you'd have your little cyber there, you could do your little whatnot. Barclays Plaza, they had some. All of a sudden it's
Everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Did you have a contract? Was it word of? How did this work?
Let me tell you, I think to be honest, I think initially it worked word of mouth. We just had a gentleman's agreement.
Gentleman's agreement, and this guy honored it.
Yeah, they honored it.
That's amazing for Kenya.
They did. Let me tell you,
Especially when it scales.
by default, let me tell you, we are. No, people actually, a lot of business, my friend, I think, has
It's
always been
done
done like that. Here.
Relationships,
Yes,
huh?
yes.
Yeah.
I think when people get more sophisticated, they come up with very advanced contracts. But sometimes you even have to ask yourself whether this contract
What are we controlling for?
Yeah, whether they're
Trust.
actually working for us. Because I might have a contract with you, but if you get into a dispute on the same contract, we're going to spend 10 years at the courts.
Right.
So, yes, you have a contract, but what is it again? So if you ask me, I think it matters more the person you're doing
Personal
business
relationship, yeah. I
with
mean,
than
this is,
all these big documents. You can have the biggest documents with the best lawyers in Kenya, but you never get justice.
you never get, and you're so
Yeah.
right. And this is one of the things that I don't know. Have things changed in your view in terms of how that word of that
Yes.
being good for your word?
Yes. I think a lot of shit. Because look at how we started off. I tell you, we started off, and that's just not the only instance. Even later on, other things came up, and it almost used to start up that way.
No contract,
No
handshake,
contracts.
boom. This is
Let's
what
do
we
this.
agreed.
Let's do this. Let's see how it works out. It works out. We'll figure out how we're going to pay.
Wow.
And we'll do it. African Online, when we set up those 3 machines, I don't really think they paid us the first 1 month. I didn't have a problem with it. I knew we were still trying to refine one or two couple of things, but the thing worked. And 6,000 bob, they probably could pay us off through maybe Impressed or something. Petty cash, right? But of course, when the things start scaling up like this, you have to sit down and agree on some terms.
Yeah.
So what was interesting was that I think I even had a couple of guys. My younger brother was in campus, grabbed him. A couple of guys, not the running, not the e-touch operation. So we moved our offices to our clients. We used to operate from Remtula Towers, where African Union was based, right? So my guys would report there. Because we'd actually done this software in a way that from Remtula Towers, you could control every e-touch center in the country. Right?
Hold on the internet, on the back.
The e-touch themselves are on the internet.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So
and what I mean by control is that you set things like pricing. centrally. So for instance, you could say...
so you could run the business.
Yeah, so my guys are reporting there, unless maybe there's a problem. So they could, for instance, you could say, pricing is actually very, very sophisticated, that the kind of model that we used to have. So for instance, you'd have an internet center at Carnival. You have another one at the airport, duty free.
Right.
You have a couple of them in town. Different pricing models.
For
instance, first 10 minutes is free.
Right.
Next 5 is this much. Next 10. So you have a graduated pricing model.
Wow.
Another pricing model is not constant across all the internet centers.
Yeah.
Depending, for instance, Carnival would probably be premier. So you see, for you to set up all this kind of infrastructure, you need like a management hub which can determine your pricing. So if let's say you say I want Kisumu to start charging this much, you do it here, then it distributes itself to Kisumu.
Right.
Then so by the time the reports are coming back, how much have we collected today? How many guests have logged in? You could even log on someone from Kisumu from Remchula.
Wow.
Right?
This is killer software, dude.
It was serious. We had actually, spent quite a bit of time on it.
I love it.
So that became our main business.
So basically, you're providing software for the cyber cafe internet access.
And it was going to be huge, man, because we had Africa only actually want to expand over Africa, but we all know 2001 the .com boom just crashed.
Did that affect them? I guess.
Yes, big time, because now all the expansion plans were halted.
Okay.
Because the cash flow expansion of this, the cyber cafes was late.
Freeze. Wow.
Yeah, the money dried up.
Stopped.
So now they also even had to scale down the operations. Yeah. So we hung out with them for a while, but at some point they actually decided to, I think, close most of them apart from the ones which are very profitable, which were not very many. So they would use our software but we realized that there's not too much feature for us in this software. So that's when now we jumped to the next thing.
Which was what? And which year is this now? 2002?
This will be probably 2003, 4,
Okay.
thereabouts, I think. So again, so as this thing is working, that's when now I decided, I need to look at the next thing that we can do. We've been there for 20 years, but it's not like we've been there doing the same thing.
Right.
So what's the next thing? So we decided to concentrate on, I picked up on education.
Okay.
Realized, let me try to automate these schools. Okay. Give them something solid, the work's professionally done. So again, I took off as my business was still running here in town for another 1 year and came up with very good academic software. Right? So, which we started rolling out in schools. Did pretty well. Pretty well, because I think it was actually the only software that was certified by the ministry, because we realized that the easiest way would be, we started running into lots of problems when we were implementing it, because, for instance, auditors are expecting you to have books when they can't afford it, yet we're automating an institution like Nairobi School, for instance, locally Lenana. I think all the big guys were actually using our software at that point in time. So the big schools could get away with it because they have the clout to say, we are going to automate, to push back. So we realized that at some point now, we actually had this collaboration with the ministry that we actually just get things certified. So that if a school wants to implement it, they know there's not going to be pushback from them.
Right.
They should not be afraid that there's going to be pushback, because that's why they want things to go.
Right.
Because schools are very complicated to run. Their software is for accounting is not easy. You might think it's easy, but I think a business is easier to run than a school.
Interesting.
Yeah, because a business, think about an average business. An average business, even a supermarket, it does cash business.
Right.
So they don't even know who their customers are, no credit, no nothing.
Right.
They will probably have maybe customers who they will know who they are, maybe institutions, maybe like 100 or 200. But a school like Starehe has maybe 1,000 kids. Those are 1,000 customers who you need to keep their profiles. You need to know how much you charge them, because you're not all invoiced the same.
Right.
You don't all pay your fees at the same time, and you don't pay them to write accounts at the same time.
Complexity of justice.
So it's actually quite complex. The accounting part of it is actually quite complex to get
Right.
right. So we started rolling with that, and so Cyber is still doing its stuff. There we are with
School software.
the school software.
How did you pick the school? Why schools? What did you
Schools?
the kind of
I think I have a
market?
background with schools. I saw my parents were in teaching, and I know the issues that they had.
Okay.
So they'll tell
So you're
me,
familiar with that?
yeah. They'll tell me this. I think there's a market here, man. Why don't you do something? In fact, I think a lot of what has always been, there's a problem here. Why don't you
Solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, think of how you can come up and solve this. So we did that for a while, and the software did pretty well. I think it's actually probably the leading software for education institutions at that time for the next 2-3 years, because we had about, for back then, maybe 50, I think we probably touched at some point 80 schools.
80. Wow.
Yeah, but it was hectic.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Customizations.
No.
What was it?
The fact that the schools are so
far away
from each other, yes. There's no like central. Okay, Nairobi is central, right? But you can imagine schools are, you're all over Central Province.
Wow.
You're all over Eastern. And then all the schools open at once. Then all the schools are trying to load the new budgets for the term at the same time.
So it's a seasonal.
Yeah, it has a very seasonal peak. Then everyone's calling you, oh, we made a mistake yesterday trying to load our budgets. Could you come and help us out?
Wow.
Anyway, okay, that's one school in Meru. As you're rushing to Meru, another guy on the other side of the country says
doesn't scale.
It would actually be very nice if you did it off
cloud,
either cloud or the ETAT model that we had, where you have a centralized server that configures the rest. Yeah. But no, the problem was that schools were not
online.
Yeah, they're not online. Now you can do that. Yeah? But schools didn't have internet.
Listen,
so you have to be there.
This is we're at the top of the hour here, and we're just getting started. Can you imagine?
You're not serious.
And we're just getting started because
yes,
maybe just to give the audience a taste of what part 2 will be like, right? Because we have to come back and do part 2.
Right.
You've built a portfolio of products, starting with cyber cafe software.
Yes.
Education management software.
Healthcare.
I know you've done some stuff for. Why don't you just give us the portfolio, right?
Okay.
Touch it at a high level.
Yeah. Let me say what. Immediately after we did this software for education institutions, that's when we, at about 2006, thereabouts, so we started doing quite a bit of consulting for larger clients. Especially first of all, we started off on Linux. Remember that I started my Linux for a long time.
Right.
The market started picking up on open source around 2005-06. That's when people started hearing about, or maybe let me say, implementing products that are running on open source technologies.
Okay.
That would be the Linuxes.
Right.
And the market didn't know how to. No one was providing those services.
So again, you were the guy.
We were the guys. So we started doing consulting services. Now that introduces to the one corporate and 2 government.
Okay.
And before long, we started now doing software. We had clients like Defense as one of our clients.
Department of Defense.
Yes, we started doing a couple of products with them. Again, it started from the open source angle because we're heavy in open source technologies. So before long, we also now started getting a couple of. You see, we go to a client, we are doing consulting on maybe Linux, but all of a sudden, these clients also have lots of other needs.
Lots of other problems,
Yeah, those are problems that they actually don't have any local answers for. So again, questions will come. Could you do this for us?
Right.
Could you do this for us? So before long, we had clients as Defense, Revenue Authority, KPLC, I think Bank of Africa. We had clients in what else? We started doing medical stuff. We did the logistics for KEMSA. That's across the entire country. That's a pretty huge project. We've also done automation for a couple of ministries that need really bespoke software.
Right.
Bespoke secure software. We have Foreign Affairs. We have Ministry of ICT, ICTA, that's ICT Authority. Got clients who are in quite a number of diverse clients.
Interesting.
But our growth now from there was largely based on the fact that we're actually probably one of a few then local firms where you could actually have a conversation of we want to do this, and we'll figure out, okay, there's this technology that's available, for instance, as open source. Then how can we grab this open source maybe as a shell,
right? Then build on top of that.
Build on top of it,
right?
To get to something that actually works for the local market. So that is, I think, our journey from 2007 to 2017-18. you'd say.
Just bespoke software, your capabilities.
Okay, of
around-
course, it starts off as bespoke, but of course, once you do the first, like for instance, we did the first bespoke logistics solution for defense. That is another solution that we could also resell to other. It's also becoming bespoke anymore. Now all of a sudden, you know logistics pretty well.
Right.
So now you start looking for clients who have the needs in
The similar
needs in
needs.
logistics.
Right. You're looking for a market essentially for that
Yeah,
product.
looking for market for the product. In fact, I would say something very interesting about it is that for the longest of time, they never even had a sales and marketing department.
Right. Interesting. Do you think if you had that, it would have made a difference?
Let me tell you what because at some point we had it, and I think you need to be very careful when you. Let me tell you, when your company that you have staff that is working for you, if you change to something else, because for instance,
It's a whole other thing.
maybe that is what the industry expects of you. You've got to be very careful because
You gotta do things that work for you in a very deep way, right? Like you have to know
if you
that.
find something that works for you, I think stick to it. Because I tell you what, we got sales, so we branded ourselves. All of a sudden, we had nice logos and that kind of stuff. But the other side of the coin of sales and marketing is that you can very easily, and actually also I think affected us at some point, you can get a lot of noise.
Instead of the signal.
Instead of a signal, right? Because previously, you're getting...
You're the sales guy.
You're not even a sales guy. You're getting clients who are coming to you and telling you, hey,
This is what I want.
this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. But now all of a sudden, you're getting
It's
5
filtered.
people who on a weekly basis, they're telling you, I went to someone and I think they need this. So you see now you have, so instead maybe your pipeline initially had like maybe 3 clients who you're very sure you can close business with. 2, you're not
20
getting maybe
clients.
20 clients
Who you're not sure
of
you can.
which you don't know whether you're going to do it. Well, the chances of doing business with them is probably very little because you're not probably very...
So let me ask you this: why did you get the sales team? What were you trying to solve for?
Okay. I think it's... for us, it's also trying to grow. Okay? Trying to grow from where we were maybe to the next level.
Okay.
So I mean, at some point we realized, we actually need a bit of branding. Okay. Marketing and sales are actually very different.
Yeah.
Marketing, I think marketing is important.
So there's different versions of marketing, right? I mean, you can have a brand,
Yes.
and then you can have. They also put demand generation under marketing,
Yes.
which feeds into sales.
Yes.
So having a distinction
Yes.
between those.
So
two
it's
things.
very important for you to. You can brand yourself. Do quite a good marketing thing around yourself.
Right.
But if you're listed in a niche market, I think it's very important to understand your niche market. I'll give you an example. Even internationally, there are so many companies that an average guy might not know.
Yeah,
And
tons
they're
of
really
them.
huge. I'll give you an example. Like one of the biggest, largest companies when it comes to mobile technology will be like ARM. Yeah.
ARM.
ARM.
Yeah.
And what do they do?
ARM is a word actually.
Yeah. I mean, they design. They don't even build their own chips. They're the guys who are designing most of the chips that you find on your phones and whatnot.
Right.
But they have decided, what, we might not be very well known out there, but if you're in that industry,
You know them for sure.
you know those guys.
Yeah. Right.
Because you know the guys who have top notch. So even for startups, I think when you're starting off, it's very important to get to know, from a point of view, what you want to be, and popularism does not necessarily translate
To good business.
to good business. Sometimes, in fact,
You got to be popular amongst your potential customers. That's all. I mean, let's put it to that.
let me tell you what. I tell you what. I think maybe I'll say for every company there's a time for everything. You could have a very brilliant idea, but if you get too much marketing,
Too fast.
too fast,
It could
sales
kill you.
too fast,
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
easily kill you.
Yeah, because you're not ready to
Yeah?
deal with
Fire
that.
can even get into your head.
Right,
You start
totally.
thinking you're
the man.
You're a man.
Or the woman here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you really are not. Yeah,
For real.
And the media can actually make something out of you that you really are not. And you start
Idiot.
believing the hype and that kind of
Reading your own
stuff.
press clippings.
Yeah, exactly.
Very dangerous.
And you start living for it. Yeah? You start living for it. You start living for events.
Oh my
Because
God.
once you get into media, now you start getting invited to this event, that event. But
Now you think you're doing business. You're not.
You're not doing business really.
You're going
wasting a lot of
backwards.
time.
Yeah.
Because maybe at that point in time, probably there's nothing you're selling. You're supposed to be building stuff, right? But if let's say there's a product you're selling, not have the phone that I've built, and now maybe it's a consumer product, at that time we can maybe discuss like that because I need to be. But there are times when I think it's probably better
To be Chiniamaji.
Chiniamaji, still.
Right. But you stayed stealth the whole time. I mean, for the most part.
Yes.
Right.
I love building products from a stealth mode.
Except this Kionjo thing. This Kionjo thing.
Even Kionjo, I'll say about even Kionjo, we've not advertised it. It has quite a bit of usage right now.
Right.
We've not
Describe
advertised it.
us what Kionjo is.
Okay, what you're trying to do is now the problem we're trying to solve. Okay, 2007 we started solving enterprise problems.
Right.
Coming up with enterprise solutions.
Right.
Now the next thing that I see is that when people talk about data, everyone is just talking about data.
Right.
But a couple of years back, 2 years back, we said, you know what, I think let's look into this data, artificial intelligence, and a very closely related cousin, natural language processing,
Okay.
deeply.
Okay.
And try to understand them and try to see how can we use these technologies, not just as words, but
as
it's
applications.
applications that will solve our problems, right?
Right.
So one of the things that we had to do was first of all learn again, teach ourselves.
Go back to the
How do you deal with a lot of data?
Right.
Enterprise data and, for instance,
Consumer data.
consumer data you get from internet is very different.
Very different. Yeah.
The consumer is a lot of data.
Right.
The response times, consumers expect you click Google,
Right
search
now.
whatever you're searching now.
Enterprise
You can't,
very different.
enterprise you can wait for 2 seconds for an LPO to process. What's the advice?
Different world.
Different world. I mean, the average enterprise user is forced to use the software that has been
Yeah,
signed up
man.
for.
Shit. This is your job.
Yeah, the job, SAP,
Here you go.
Oracle, and you start here.
While you're waiting for SAP to load, you're doing Facebook, Google.
Yeah, you start there. I mean, you even if you want to change SAP, you're not going to change it tomorrow.
Not gonna happen.
So we decided to make a very, even personally, I decided I'm going to research on how this data thing works, because of course I know back then I knew from cursory angle. Of course, I know about AI, being a software guy, but have not practiced it. Natural language processing. Now, one of the things that quickly became very evident is that there's actually almost complete absence of data products that are targeted towards us, as always.
Us being.
We're in Africa, we're in Kenya,
Yep.
right? So you find it comes up as very simple things. For instance, in any data model that is doing maybe analysis, what does it do? You find English. Try to find something that speaks the Kenyan English. Like for instance, you find on Twitter. We're very good. Kenyans we're multilingual.
Right.
So for a Kenyan, it's very easy for you to speak English, Swahili, probably even throw in a word in your mother tongue somewhere, and you communicate that way, right? So on our social media, there's a lot of that. But an average product from the US,
Will not
feed at
recognize
that, it probably doesn't even know what's going on.
Right.
And the other question I always ask myself, I've had to ask myself, is that why is it that even to search who is the president of Kenya, you have to go to a product, Google in the US, there's not even a local guy who has a product can be able to tell you such basic things, as an example. So what we said to do is, we're going to make a big data play. And one of the first things that we said to do is, for us to learn how this thing works out, let's start collecting, give ourselves a challenge. If you want to maybe news around Kenya, aggregated, you probably find them in something like Google News. They're able to aggregate and prioritize news based on Kenya off their search engine. So we ask ourselves, can we do something similar and better?
Okay.
Is there a way we can aggregate Kenyan
Local news
data? Of course, we're getting a lot more data than just news, but is there a way, first of all, we can aggregate Kenyan news data, automatically aggregate it, automatically classify it, automatically prioritize it, automatically present it to users?
So basically doing what Google News does?
Yes, and actually being better than Google News.
For us, for our market.
For us. That's what we've done with Kionjo.
And what's the end game here?
So
You don't have to have one. Maybe it's
we
just...
don't have to have one, but we know where we're going. Now, again, as I said, this period in time for us, about 2 years,
You're in research mode.
we're in research mode. How does this work out? Right?
Because data is the new gold, baby. Data is the new
It's a
oil.
gold. Yes. So how does it work out? Yeah.
Awesome. So you're
How
collecting...
are you able to determine, for instance, this news story will be important? Out of, let's say, 1,000 news stories that are coming from, let's say, Daily Nation, how are you able to pick up on one that is important? Right now, we can do it. Right? How are you able to say that it can only be important, but maybe for just 1 hour, and it will die? But this, I won't keep this for a day, because this will trend.
So Kionjo basically is what now? It's a...
So Kionjo is the platform that now we have built to aggregate all the data.
And what does somebody see when they go there?
So what you see, if you go there, you get an aggregation of all our news.
News stories. So it's
So
basically
it's-
like, it's like back to the portal that you guys were doing with your...
2,000. But this time is fully automated because it's not a single person who actually determines what you see there. Everything
Wow.
that you see there's
This is
algorithms.
brilliant. This is actually... This is real-time sentiment analysis.
Yes.
For
So
our
we're
market.
able to do very detailed. We don't show it in Kionjo now, but some of the things that we're able to do, for instance, is we can do very detailed sentiment analysis. We can do very detailed salience. Salience is the importance of what
Salience, okay.
what someone has been mentioned. For instance, you can have a story about the impact. For instance, there's the funding in Africa.
Right,
Yeah, venture capital funding in Africa.
Right.
Then Makanaki is mentioned somewhere.
right.
It's one thing to say Makanaki is mentioned, and one thing to say maybe you're there. But the story was actually about you.
Right.
It could be about you, or it could be a footnote, right? So you don't know the difference. Yeah.
This is huge.
So that's quite a bit of natural language processing that
Right,
we've had to do
right.
that.
Yeah.
And now we are building our products is one, which is going to come off Kionjo. Now that the commercial, now how to commercialize that.
That data
That
and that
data.
capability.
That
This is
capability.
awesome. So listen, let's
So-
summarize this and kind
So
of...
we have 10 years to go.
Dude, man, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, like we talked
We have
about...
10 years to go.
I mean, we're so aligned in so many different ways. And even every time we talk, it's like the first time,
Yeah.
I'm so
It's 20
excited.
years. Yeah, sorry.
So go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's 20 years. I'm trying to compress it within an hour. So
I know, it's ridiculous. It's hard. It's hard. And you know what?
But we can try.
Listen,
We can try.
we've let it go on, and I
But
think...
ultimately, let me tell you something. Ultimately, I think what I would love to do is, and even the next, I think the way I see myself faced out now is, I think the next 5-10 years, I want to go back to our niche mode, because I think one of the things that I would like to have as a challenge to ourselves is I think it's about time that we started developing what I call technology products. And there's a difference between technology products and products that use technology.
Explain.
Let me give you a difference. If, for instance, right now I made a contact database, a database where, for instance, I can key in my users and dump them into a database and make a nice user interface and present it to you, I would call that a product that is using technology.
Because the underlying database is not...
There's not really deep technical innovation.
Okay.
And I would say, I don't think you can...
So are we
call
like just are we saying the recent... Are you likening this to the recent proliferation of social products, social...
Yeah, I wouldn't call it maybe social, but I think one of the things that I see is that I think what people forget is if you look at any market, not just the Kenyan market, if you look at, for instance, the American market, there's always this thing of hyping
Totally, yeah.
companies.
Hyping is part of the game.
Right?
Totally,
It's part of the game, right? But what people actually forget that for every Facebook, there's actually the underlying technology.
Yes.
And that technology is very valuable as well.
Yes.
Very, very valuable. And you can make off it for a long time.
Right.
So Facebook, for instance, never started off as a technology company.
Like Kubernetes for Google.
Yes. Right? So you find Facebook never started off as a technology company, but now they're building their own technology. You find in a certain area, for instance, in artificial intelligence, I would say, I don't think you consider yourself in technology until you can build technology that can be used by another developer or another technical person to build their products.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to say. This little contract application is not really technology. You're just using technology someone has presented to you.
Yes.
But if you make something that another developer uses as part of their core, that is when you can now start having an ecosystem. And two places are actually very well known for this. Of course, I think Silicon Valley,
Right.
but also you look at the Israeli model. There are very few products you can actually go and buy in the local market, and you say this is from Israel.
But underneath the thing.
But the core, like for instance, I think it's the Intel Core i something entire series is designed and done in Israel. The entire base for the Intel Core i processors is Israeli. So many products that they are billion-dollar companies. You not hear
never
of
hear
them.
about them.
But Intel will go and buy and tell you, continue doing whatever it is you're doing.
But let me ask you a question, dude.
That is core technology. So I find we're still cutting around that issue and just trying to jump into little products. But the problem with these little products is that at some point you lack the depth that you need. Because even Facebook started off as a little product.
But now
But once they hit 100,000 users, then they're like, damn, now
we gotta build stuff that
we
works
have
for
to,
us.
yes, because people now are expecting 2 seconds is
And
too long.
you can't buy it off the shelf.
You can't buy it off the shelf.
Yeah.
Or even if you buy it off the shelf,
But here's the thing, dude. Like
Yeah.
you see, it's a chicken and egg scenario, and we gotta wrap with this, man, because
Yes.
this is. Like, you see, they have a big enough market to justify investing the R&D in that, dude.
let me tell you, you could say that, but let me tell you something. The thing about technology is it's agnostic. You can do technology in Kenya that can be used in the US.
Sure, but the thing is this: the reason why people build to commercialize and
Yes.
quickly
Yeah.
is because we don't have an investment venture bankroom to allow you to actually do R&D. To already say,
Yeah.
okay, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The sequencing of the process.
Let me say what, I think, let me tell you what,
It's a systemic problem.
you're right in a way, but I also like to give people a couple of challenges, especially, again, let me hit on the young men.
Young people.
Young men and ladies. They have a lot of time. They may not realize it, but they have a lot of time. I mean, knowing what I know now, if let's say I was to start off first year in campus, I mean, you realize actually you had a lot of time. And if you look at, for instance, even a lot of this technology that is coming up, I mean, even today, I will look at, for instance, some of the leading open source technologies that are coming out, and who do you find? You find kids in campus. Yeah, they contribute to the core. For instance, it could be the latest AI engine
Or blockchain.
or blockchain. You can find graduate students. Don't we have graduate students in Kenya?
We do. We just, listen,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so as much as you're saying yes, it requires time, but research can happen both in academia and in the commercial world.
But you see, our culture doesn't allow for
Now,
this.
that's what I'm saying now. We need to change things and have a slightly different outlook to things. Yeah.
So here's the thing. The question is, you see, saying is one,
Yeah.
creating the infrastructure and the systemic shift things is another thing. And that's why that's why Impact African Network's Startup Studio.
Right.
We're not this. Look, we provide. You're exactly right. Young people need a place where they can, in a sense, create, learn.
Yes.
Right. Space, time,
And seek to learn
deeply. And so what we provide is this 12-month internship to guys coming out of campus and girls coming out of campus
That would be excellent.
to actually immerse themselves in
Yes.
understanding this world, right?
Yes.
And we're just starting off right now. We have the idea is not to just do internships, it's to build products, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I can see when I project it out down the road, it's about expanding the aperture.
Right.
It's about saying, what else can this be? Because our universities are not structured that way, right?
Yeah, and I think you've also seen it how it is, which is very unfortunate. I think the combination of our universities not being very serious when it comes to research is culminated into what the proliferation of universities across the entire country, which is actually, from my point of view, quite ridiculous. Because I always tell people, if you want to go to MIT, if you want to go to Harvard, what do? There's only one MIT, there's only one Harvard.
There's only one.
You don't hear Harvard in Nairobi, or Harvard in London, or MIT in Australia. You go to MIT.
Where it is.
So I wish even our local campuses can concentrate on that.
Yes.
If you
to
go
be
to
qualitative,
Juja,
yes.
JKUAT, go to JKUAT. Let's not hear there's JKUAT in Kisii, in Turkana, or Garissa campus.
Those are political moves, man.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
you can't have depth that way. You just
can't.
spread yourself.
You
too
cannot.
thin.
You see, let me tell you.
Students are being taught by people who are not really experienced, because how many professors do we have?
Oh my goodness, you've
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head.
So
Technology, fundamentally,
Yes.
is a talent aggregation game.
Yeah.
Concentration
You need
and
to.
aggregation of talent.
you need to.
So that's why.
And we follow it. Tell you what,
Mm.
if I heard there was a campus in Evasha that had the most brilliant students in this country,
You go chase it down.
I will open up shop in Evasha.
This is good. So check this out. So yesterday I was at
That is how you build your Silicon Valleys.
That's how you do it. Yesterday I was at an event where Andela was people from Andela were speaking at iHub,
Right.
and I was in that room, and I'm looking around at the quality of talent that we have, and I gotta tell you, man,
We got people.
we've got amazing young talent, dude, and Andela has done a great job in terms of aggregating that and surfacing
Right.
it and up leveling it.
Yeah.
But it's not the entire story, right?
Yeah.
Dude, we could go on for days.
It's because stories, man.
We could go on for days. So, audience, for those of you who love this type of stuff, enjoy the podcast. For those of you who struggle with it, hey man, it's not for everybody, right? This is a long one,
Yeah.
but I guess final questions for you in terms of Vision 2030. I always ask people, where do you see us being as an ecosystem in 2030? What's possible?
I think what's possible, if you ask me for us, what's possible would be, I always pick up on the Israeli model. If this country we can just focus on that. I think
And what is that?
would be for us to have one of the things that Kenya has probably some of the best manpower globally.
Speak closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry, I'm saying Kenya has some of the best manpower globally.
Talent.
I've never doubted our people.
With-
We've managed to build a firm ourselves, which at various times has been able to compete against the best of the best and won business from them.
Right.
And what has taught me is that we can do anything anyone else can do. So what we just need to do is that we should just aim for a higher place. Let's not be just content, as I was telling you, with maybe these little functions. Let's aim to actually have one of the best core technology regions globally. And we do have even a lead in some areas. Like for instance, our innovations around this M-Pesa ecosystem, right? We take it for granted.
It's huge,
But-
dude. It's killer.
But what people have actually been able to build off this M-Pesa ecosystem, if we are to continue doing the same thing and being more aggressive on it, 10 years time, we find Kenya will be the leading mobile platform globally.
Listen, for me, this is what I believe, man. Like we are sitting on a threshold moment, but we need to recognize it and orchestrate it.
And focus
Focus
channel
it.
our talent
Yes,
to a certain
and
goal.
the future is now equal the past, man. And if we can understand what that is, and that's what for me I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
People like yourself and all the other people in the ecosystem and what's happening. Of course, we need to start posting success, right?
Yeah.
We need to start rebuilding it out. And
Yeah.
so, the way I see it, man, is like, dude, yeah. We need to build great.
We can do
companies.
this. This
Yeah.
country is good. It's really, really good people. We just need to channel them. Let people learn from our experiences, our mistakes, our successes. Because I think we came off a generation that didn't have people locally that would aspire, who would be able to guide us easy. As I said, if you look at my journey, it has always been like kind of self-discovery, right? The new generation, you have that advantage now that there are people who can guide you along.
Right.
Personally, I'm always free to
Right.
guide young people.
Right.
So
And you're on our board, so advisory board.
anytime, man.
Yeah.
So I'm also glad, you see, again, we're getting people like yourselves from the other side of the world coming back to Kenya now and saying, probably it's time that we also ganged up, because you guys are also giving us a kind of different experience that we don't have. So I might, for instance, have a lot of technical experience on how to build products in the local market. What you guys, I think, bring to us is how to, for instance, maybe scale up,
Commercialize it.
commercialize,
Build companies around those things.
build companies around our little innovations.
Yes.
So the fact that you guys are coming back here, it tells you there's something going on.
Yo, man.
So let's see, 5 years, man. Let's continue our conversations and
Make something happen.
something interesting will happen. Will be happening.
Awesome.
Yep.
With that, we'll close. And thanks for coming through.
Cheers.
And we'll have to bring you back for another one.
Always
Where
available.
we can talk about the war stories.
There are all stories to be told.
Good stuff. Awesome.
Cheers.